What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench podcast network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. Welcome into another episode of the Changeup here on the network. We break down everything Major League Baseball has to offer. With me, as always, is my co-host Bryanna Winner. You can find Bryanna at bwinner12. How are you doing tonight, Bryanna?
I'm doing okay. I don't like the injury reports coming out of the Angels right about now, but I mean, it is what it is. Oh, and we'll talk about a suspension in the
Yes,
winter
yeah.
circle too.
Interesting there.
I
Yeah,
feel off to the field, but
it's going to be a very interesting podcast. A lot to get to. Obviously, going to do our normal team reports. Step into the winner's circle. I'll give you a rundown on what the Padres been got going on. 3 up and 3 down. Bringing back Factor Fiction. Plenty of other stuff as well. Even some college baseball to talk about as Omaha is set. But we are going to start with, let's be honest, the biggest news in all of baseball. It had myself and I believe Bryanna not just questioning baseball, but I think questioning all of reality. The Oakland A's ripped off a 7-game win streak, including 2 against the formidable best team in baseball, Tampa Bay Rays. It all culminated on Tuesday night. Would be the kind of end of the winning streak. They have, of course, lost the last 2 as we are recording on Thursday. However, they did go on a 7-game winning streak. Like I said, culminating on that reverse boycott that saw 27,000 plus fans pretty much voicing their displeasure at the ownership. But it was very interesting. Bryanna, what in the world is going on in Oakland?
I have absolutely no idea. All I know is that reverse boycott was just funny to the point because of the fact that they sold out. They ended up winning the game, but the pitcher couldn't even hear the pitches that were being called because of how loud it got in the stadium.
Yeah.
He thought it was broken.
Yeah. I think it's great. Obviously, it sucks that it's come to this in all kinds of ways. 5 years ago, the Oakland A's on a 7-game winning streak. We talk about them when we say, oh, they're in the ups. Maybe even if that, who knows? But it's not first, headline. A's won 7 in a row, but that just shows you where, unfortunately, this franchise is right now. And obviously, a lot of this falls on John Fisher, the owner of the A's. Great nickname that I found out that the Oakland A's have for him, Baby Gap. Or Captain Nepo because of nepotism. Obviously his father, I believe, was the founder or main investor in Gap, from the beginning. That's where that money came from. And then through trust fund, you know the rest there. So anyways, so Baby Gap was heavily protested. And what's the best part about that? The pitch calm going down, all that stuff. Before that, I think it was Jose Siri was at bat, and they had it planned that the entire stadium was going to be silent, or as silent as you can be, until the first batter did his thing in the 5th inning or whatever inning it was. So it was essentially silent until halfway through, when the left fielders throwing the ball in, and the crowd just starts to absolutely erupt with the sell the team chants. And as great as I think this was and how happy I am that the A's have won 7 in a row, I don't think this changes anything. I don't think this changes the fact that the Oakland A's are not a very good baseball team. They played good baseball, but overall, they're not a very good baseball team. It doesn't change the fact that more than likely we are going to see the A's in Vegas, or the entity known as Vegas baseball team, moving there. But at the very least, I think those fans were able to kind of show that they're not the problem. And that was the main thing they wanted to show, that, hey, look, we only have 4,000 people here. It's not because there are no fans. And I think they showed that. Big credit also to the people who coordinated this. This was all coordinated by the fans. Obviously, the A's didn't coordinate this or anything like that. Very happy that everyone came out and, spent money, but they didn't want this to happen. All coordinated by the fans. And I think we can all relate. If you've ever had to put, dinner plans together for like more than 7 people, how hard that is for this fan base to kind of come together, 27,000 strong, and be united in a cause. I think it's great. But the pessimist comes up and says, I don't think it changes anything.
Well, considering the fact that last night the stadium deal won in its final legislative approval in Vegas, it's looking like no matter what, they're going to be moving. Now MLB is going to be weighing in on that move.
Yeah, I think at this point, sorry.
It doesn't look like it's going to change anything.
Yeah, no. I think at this point, there's only one nail left in the coffin, and I think it's the MLB announcement of, making it absolutely 110% official. I think we're 99% of the way there, which is really, really unfortunate. And the fans of Oakland deserve better. Obviously, this is 3 teams in the last 5 years. The Warriors went to, they're still close, but I'm sure people of Oakland aren't a huge fan of, losing them to San Francisco. And then obviously the Raiders and the A's.
I don't know if you've seen the video of Tom Hanks either talking about this, because he was a huge Oakland fan in general of all the teams. And he's like, we lost the Raiders to Vegas. The Warriors moved to San Francisco, and then now we're losing the A's. Screw them all.
Yeah. And I will also say too, I think, as someone who lives in California, Bryanna, you lived in California for pretty much a majority of your life. As someone who is already paying a lot in taxes, it's hard, even as a diehard sports fan, it's hard for me to, get mad at people of Oakland for saying, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay, or I'm not going to build a billionaire stadium. Like, that's just, it's unfortunate. But this is the world we live in now. And the people of Oakland, unfortunately, have lost a lot. But we'll see going forward. Hopefully, there were still some people holding out hope. I kind of just wanted to pat him on the head and just feel bad for him, because it's as someone who lost the Chargers, it hurts. But what can you say? But at least the Oakland A's won 7 in a row. For at least a moment, they weren't the worst team in baseball. Kansas City had them for at least a night. I haven't checked on that since, but good for Oakland to get those that 7-game win streak. But it does seem like all is back to normal with the Tampa Bay winning the last 2 games. But once again, hats off to at least splitting with Tampa Bay and maybe softening up the Rays for the Padres this weekend. But we'll get to that in a bit. But moving on to the collegiate side of things, Omaha is set. The College World Series will begin tomorrow. That will be Friday, the 16th of June. The 8 teams are as follows: Oral Roberts, TCU, Virginia, Florida, Stanford, Wake Forest. Wake Forest is the #1 overall seed. Tennessee and LSU. Obviously, plenty of SEC representation. 3 of the 8 teams coming out of the SEC. Bryanna, obviously, I know where you want to start. Stanford, you've had your eye pretty much on, maybe not so much Stanford, but the Stanford regional and the regular regionals, and then obviously the super regionals. The very, very unfortunate situation out in Palo Alto, losing the ball in the lights to lose your chance to go to Omaha. What are your thoughts, Bryanna?
I paid more attention to just the regular regionals than I did super regionals. It's just this video is like everywhere. So unfortunately for Texas, their right fielder lost the ball, most likely in the lights, in the bottom of the 9th inning to give Stanford the win and to advance. That is the absolute worst way to end your season. Just, you could not find it in the lights. It obviously just hurts all the Texas players. It hurts everybody who plays baseball. Because obviously you don't want to lose that ball at any point, but it's unfortunate that it did happen. I would love to see Stanford beat Wake Forest, but I honestly don't think that's going to happen. I would love to see it though. And Oral Roberts, I know you want to talk about Oral Roberts.
Yeah, I think they've had a great run, even heading into the the first regionals. They were on like a 17 or 18 game win streak and rolled right through there. They're a 4 seed. And if you're unfamiliar with the way the NCAA tournament goes, there's 16 regions and there's 4 teams in each region, and it's double elimination. And in those regions, you have the 1 seed, the 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed. Oral Roberts was a 4 seed in their regional. This is the equivalent of a 13 or a 16 seed in college basketball, of making it, to the Elite Eight, Final Four, kind of however you want to quantify that. Baseball, little obviously different in the way they do things. We did see Fresno State, I think it was 2009, or they were a 4 seed, and they ended up winning the entire national championship. Unfortunately for Oral Roberts, I think they're a really good baseball team, a fantastic story. I don't think they can, get the natty here. I think the 2 teams for me that I have my eye on, I haven't seen the bracket, so I don't know if they can meet in the final or if they'll end up having to meet in the semifinal. But I think the 2 best teams here are number 2 is LSU. I think LSU has a ton of star power. Dylan Cruz, probably going to be the number 1 overall pick. Paul Scrins, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's going to be one of the top collegiate pitchers picked. And LSU, it's a baseball factory. See all the history that club has. On the other side, I think the number 1 overall seed is the best team here, and that's the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. They have dominated everybody. I think every game in this tournament they put up, actually all but 1 game, they put up double digits. I know for a fact the first regional, they were pretty much, essentially mercying teams, even though mercy rules don't really exist in college baseball. But a lot of firepower in that Wake Forest lineup. But these 8 teams, it will be double elimination. So 2 brackets of 4, kind of double elimination. The winner of those brackets will advance to the national championship series. Best 2 out of 3. And of course, we will see a national championship crowned. It will be, of course, in Omaha, where it seemed, I feel like it's been ever since it began. But going to be really interesting to see how that goes. I don't know if Stanford's going to get as lucky as, advancing on another ball in the lights. But I will say, as a former right fielder, my heart is broken for that kid. I've lost balls in the sun, never with all that on the line. And I was sick to my stomach when that happened. And I was like in Little League when no one's really expected to catch the ball. Yep.
I'm going to give you confirmation on the brackets right now.
Thank you.
Bracket number 1, Florida, Virginia, Oral Roberts, and TCU.
Oh, damn it. Okay, so fair enough. So the 2 best
bracket
teams in my mind won't be able to.
LSU.
Interesting.
Now, bracket 2 is Wake Forest, LSU, Stanford, and Tennessee.
Gotcha. Okay, wow. Oh, good luck to Stanford. That's a rough side of the bracket, but
that's a rough bracket. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's a rough side. But okay, well, so either LSU or Wake Forest, I believe one of those teams will be playing for a national championship. Doesn't seem like we will see those teams playing for the actual national championship. But at the end of the day, for going back to that Texas right fielder, and believe me, as a diehard USC fan, I give absolutely no sympathy to anybody wearing a Texas jersey. I can't stand Texas. Vince Young's knee was down in that Rose Bowl. I'm not going to get into it, but anyways, point being, I can't stand Texas. I hate Texas more than UCLA. I'm sorry, Bryanna. It's just how it is. But
hey, it's fair. I can't stand USC, so
exactly. So, but just for my point, and that's that. And my heart still broke for this kid. Maybe 10 years ago in my more immature life, I would have laughed at him. But like I said, my heart broke for him. It's very unfortunate. Hopefully, hopefully he's not a senior. Hopefully that wasn't the last time we've seen him on a competitive baseball field, and maybe he can atone next year. But with that being said, keep an eye on Omaha. We'll be keeping you updated. This, I believe, goes for about 10 days or so. So probably in the next 2 podcasts from now, we'll give you kind of the full update of how that went down. But moving on to a little bit of fact or fiction for us today. Pretty self-explanatory, but we're going to have a statement and we're going to decide whether or not that is fact or fiction. The first statement is going to be Corbin Carroll will win National League Rookie of the Year and MVP. Very important. And MVP. Bryanna, fact or fiction?
Look, I love Corbin Carroll. Obviously, he's a Diamondback, and he's having an amazing rookie season. The problem with that statement right there is the MVP. Is he going to win MVP of the entire National League? I don't know. Will he win Rookie of the Year of the National League? That's without a doubt a fact. It's the MVP part we don't know because we're not even halfway through the season yet, so we can't tell you. I would love to see it, though.
All right. Okay. Well, I will go out on the limb. Unfortunately, I'm going to say fiction. And for the kind of the same reason I think you were alluding to, the Rookie of the Year is locked up. Give it to him, engrave him. Barring injury, and I am knocking on wood now, so don't come at me. But barring injury, this trophy is Corbin Carroll's least Rookie of the Year. MVP, not so much. I right now he might be the number one, but as Bryanna said, it's what, June 19th. Summer hasn't even, June 15th. Summer hasn't even started yet, so we can't. I think it's too early to really dive into that. I don't think so. There are just too many. Even just right here in San Diego, I think Juan Soto's starting to catch fire. He could be somebody. Sure, Bryce Harper and Ronald Acuna, Fernando Tatis, they'll all have something to say about that. But I do expect to see Corbin Carroll win an MVP at some point. I just don't think it'll be his rookie year. If that does happen, he will be the first since Ichiro to do both. And I will say a little bit of a caveat there. I never really considered Ichiro a rookie. Let's be honest. He had over 3,000 hits in Japan. That's a little different than a kid working his way up through the minors, but that's another soapbox for another day. Statement number 2. This one's right up Bryanna's alley. Fact or fiction, Bryanna? Shohei Ohtani will win American League Rookie of the Year.
Rookie?
Excuse me, MVP. MVP. Goodness gracious.
I wish he was.
Yeah. He definitely gonna. If he was eligible, he would dominate that Rookie of the Year. But no, MVP.
Now, unfortunately for me, I'm torn in the middle because obviously we thought he was going to win it last year, but he didn't. Aaron Judge did. Obviously, Aaron Judge is currently on the injured list, so we don't know what's going to happen. But again, we're not even halfway through the season yet. We don't know who's going to come up. We don't know if Ohtani's going to get injured. I would love to see him win MVP, but right now I can't tell you if it's going to be fact or fiction because I don't even know.
Well, yeah, none of us know.
I want him to.
No one knows. Just all right. Okay, so
I want him to. I mean, his hitting has gotten better through the weeks because he was in an obvious slump for a little while, like a month ago, and he's starting to catch fire now. He had 2 home runs in a game this last week.
Yeah. I am unequivocally going to say this will be a fact. He's not only deserving of it, he should have won it last year. Every single year he does what he does, even if he's, like I said, I've always said, even if he hits 280 with 25 home runs and has an ERA in the mid 3s, he's the MVP. Because whatever you say, Aaron Judge hit 61 home runs. Well, how are his pitching stats? He didn't have any? How about
that's my point.
Yeah.
But that's my point.
Well, I think that's everyone's point.
Because Judge ended up winning it last year, and Ohtani should have won it last year. Obviously, Ohtani won it 2 years ago, but he didn't win it last year. He got outvoted because of Judge and his hitting records. We don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm just going to skip the last question. We'll dive right into the winner's circle.
Fiction. Unfortunately, fiction.
I
want it so bad. I want it so bad, but I think it's going to be fiction.
Yeah. Will the Diamondbacks?
You put it on here, so don't even try to skip it. You put it here.
Oh yeah. Well, I put it in there. I thought that I wanted us to kind of go out a little bit on a limb. Fiction. All right. So will the Diamondbacks?
I would love for it to happen, though. I would love for it to happen.
So Bryanna's in the boat of will Arizona win the NL West? Arizona will win the NL West. She says fiction. You know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to say.
I want them. I really do want them. But again, not even halfway through the season, and the Dodgers could start catching fire soon. Luckily, they are.
Yeah,
right now, and I absolutely love it. But I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to be able to hold on by September. I really don't.
I actually do. I think this team is going to win the division. I don't have huge expectations for the Dodgers. Obviously, the Padres are just trying to get their head above water right now. And I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Arizona, especially the pitching staff. That was the one thing. I knew this team was going to go out and they were going to hit, and they were going to be all right. But I really do think that the pitching staff, Zach Gallen, continues to do what he does.
Kelly.
And so, yeah, I
Merrill
mean,
Kelly.
there's just a bunch of guys out there that are getting it done. And then obviously Corbin Carroll. I do think this team is going to continue. And like I said, I think the Dodgers will make the playoffs. Padres probably make the playoffs. But I do think that the Diamondbacks do win this division. But we could see, obviously, injury bug is always kind of floating out there. And they did just lose 3 out of 4 to Philly. So it's not ideal right now in Arizona, but I do have faith.
And I mean, to be fair, the Diamondbacks coach ended up getting ejected because the Phillies hit Carroll on 2 straight at bats.
Yeah.
In 3 innings.
Yeah.
I don't blame them.
I mean, yeah, that's what you get for being good. Time to wear 1 or 2, but
not in 2 straight at bats in 3 innings.
Nah. Sometimes you got to send a message to the rookie. But anyways, with that being said, it is time to step into the winner's circle. Bryanna, why don't you tell us what's going on with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim?
I love that they're the only team in the American League that has gone 8-2 in their last 10. I absolutely love it. They are still stuck in 3rd because of those dang Astros. Just keeping them at bay, and I really don't want them to. Like, I was not mad about the Texas series, whether they won or lost that series. I just need somebody to keep Houston at bay. I did not care. So they signed Daniel Murphy to a minor league deal. So he's trying to make a comeback. Obviously, he's been in the minor leagues all season. Angels took 2 of 3 against Seattle. They took 2 of 3 against the Rangers, but they still have 1 more game tonight. So we don't know what's going to happen there. And I believe Ohtani is pitching, though. So we'll see what happens. So Friday versus Seattle. Ben Joyce exited the game with right hand irritation. The MRI was negative. So I don't know what's going on. I've heard Tommy John thrown around. I have seen articles that said that it's negative and he's fine. So I'm hoping he's going to come back this season. And I know you are too. As of now, I think he's only on the 15-day. So maybe we'll see him soon.
Interesting.
Look, the fact that he's like pitching hundreds like every single pitch shows like he got better at his control, but is it going to come at a cost with him pitching that hard every pitch?
What was the exact prognosis that they said? Hand stiffness?
Yeah.
Hand irritation.
Irritation, yeah.
That doesn't sound like Tommy John. I mean, obviously you hear elbow irritation, then you're thinking, uh-oh.
But doesn't that tendon still go down the wrist too?
Possibly. I've never heard, like, I've never seen a situation where a pitcher is on the injured list for hand irritation that then turns into Tommy John. I could be wrong. I'm as far away from the doctor as anybody. Trust me. It's just, that was interesting to me. But the fact that, we haven't heard those 2 words, right? Or those 2 names, I should say. That's good because the Angels will need him down the stretch. God bless.
Yeah, they need their bullpen. They need their bullpen to do very well right now. In Monday's game against Texas, this is what I was alluding to earlier. Brandon Drury had made contact with the umpire. He had earned a 1-game suspension, but he was since appealing it. But obviously, he has now been listed as, especially on fantasy teams, because unfortunately I have him, he was listed as in a suspension. So my guess is he lost that appeal, unfortunately. I don't know what the contact was, but it happened. And 1 game isn't as bad as it could have been. Because I know, I can't think of his name right now, but the Mets just recently had a pitcher go down to a really large suspension because of sticky stuff.
Always.
Before he even threw a pitch. They checked his hands and he was suspended. I can't remember his name though. For the life of me, I can't remember his name. Obviously, we're going to go into this team later, but the Kansas City Royals are going to be facing the Angels this weekend starting tomorrow. Then the Angels have a day off. So they've got 2 games at home in a freeway series on Tuesday and Wednesday against the Dodgers, unfortunately for me. And then they have another day off. God, they've got 2 days off this week. And then they are at Colorado Friday through Sunday. So is elevation going to play a part, even though Colorado sucks? Not the state. I love the state. I absolutely love the state and the people. Elevation sickness is no joke, though. I have seen it. I never experienced it. I have seen it, but elevation sucks. I had to put that out there. So don't come at me, Colorado
definitely.
people.
I completely
don't come at me.
Wanted to see that.
I spent 4 years in Colorado. Don't come at me.
I am just checking out that Brandon Drury incident. I think a lot of it was frustration, I guess. Oh man, that's like a 5-minute video to show me 13 seconds of something. Anyways, but judging by the article, it sounded like he had been pretty frustrated all night. And it sounded like the 10th inning he got called out on strikes, and it all kind of blew up. And the fact there was only 1 game, more than likely it was just, these umpires with their padding and all that stuff probably just made a little bit. I don't think it's anything crazy. Obviously Brandon Drury.
Well, my thing with that is it's 1 game. Don't even try to appeal it. Just get it out of the way as soon as possible. It's 1 game. If it was like 10 games, I'd understand. But 1 game isn't going to kill you. Yes, you're facing a team that's leading the American League West, but 1 game is not going to kill you. If it was like 10 games, 80 games, yes.
That's a game check. I mean, if you feel you were wrongly suspended,
I get that, but it could be worse, is what I'm trying to say. It could be so much worse.
Definitely, but that doesn't mean you don't appeal. At least in my mind, like if you felt like you were wrongly treated, then you'll play that, you'll do that game. But you will see sometimes, a lot of times, teams will be like, "Hey, can you appeal that so you can play this series?" That may have been it. Who knows? But he'll do his time. Whether he did the crime, that's for another day. But anything else for the Angels?
I need them to beat Texas, but at the same time, I need Texas to stay ahead of the Astros until the Angels can jump them. I don't know who I want to win the Astros,
and then pass the Rangers. Yeah, you have to go first.
We have to go first.
Yes, I completely
so I don't know
agree.
who I want to win tonight's game.
That's a very
but at the same time, it's going to mess with the Angels and their games back. But at the same time, we need to jump Houston before we can jump Texas.
Yep.
So I don't know.
First thing first.
I don't know what I want. Just get the cheaters out of the way first.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we can all get behind that. We'll see how that gets rolling here. Padres side of things, obviously last week wasn't very positive. I tried to keep it positive, but overall things had been pretty rough for the Padres. However, got a weekend series in Colorado, played very well, minus Sunday. They gave up essentially a game. Currently the Padres should be on a 5-game winning streak. However, they did lose game 3 against Colorado, had a chance to sweep Colorado at Coors Field. They end up losing it in the 10th inning, I believe. It was the 9th or 10th inning on a walk-off after about an hour-long rain delay. Very tough to see that there. Padres did return home, and they have won back-to-back games against the Guardians. 6-3 in game 1, 5-0 game 2. Michael Wacha continues to pitch as someone who may be getting an all-star invite, and if he keeps this up, might be on some people's ballots for Cy Young. He's pitching very well. The other part of this, something that gets me even more excited than just Michael Wacha doing his thing, was after Tatis, his suspension and all that, there were a lot of question marks about him. I didn't think the hitting was going to be a problem. You can make your steroid jokes all you want, but if you really know Fernando Tatis, the reason he took those steroids is he wanted to get on the field faster. Put Fernando Tatis and Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds next to each other. The body types Fernando Tatis's body type doesn't match them. So I knew he was going to hit. It wasn't a situation of the steroids were keeping him afloat. That wasn't the case at all. But my big question mark was, how is he going to do in right field? It's not the easiest position for a infielder to pick up. Obviously, the fact that he has an arm was a huge positive. And what we've seen over pretty much the last 2 months since he's returned, give or take. Not only can he play right field, but I think in 2 or 3 years, he may be being a Gold Glove regular. Not right away, but he's working towards that. Last night, being Wednesday in that 5-0 victory, he made 2 really nice catches and then a fantastic throw behind the runner who took a huge turn off of first base. Tatis, his entire body was going to second base, but at the last second, his arm, called an audible, went behind the runner at first base. They ended up calling him out. I think he was safe after review, but there wasn't enough. They still called him out. Fantastic stuff there from Fernando Tatis. And then also Gary Sanchez, a guy who was released by the New York Mets. Very hard to get released in baseball for a veteran like Gary Sanchez. The Padres ended up picking him up. He has been on fire. He not only threw a guy out last night, which something Austin Nola could not do to save his life. He's got 6 home runs for the Padres in, 12 games. I don't have the exact number, but a very small sample size. And he's already one of the best hitters on the Padres. Fantastic to see there because the Padres at catcher have been a black hole pretty much for the last 3 or 4 years. The Ty France for Austin Nola. God, I wish it was Aaron Nola. But the Ty France for Austin Nola trade might go down as one of the worst trades ever. Austin Nola is barely a major league catcher, and I can't wait for Luis Camposano to get back so Austin can either go down to the minors or he can, maybe find somewhere else to go. No disrespect. He's just not good. Sorry. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's someone, a great family man, things like that. Just not a good baseball player. And the Padres deserve better. So hopefully Gary Sanchez will continue to bring that to the table, and we'll see that going forward. The Padres will obviously have the final game of their 3-game set with the Guardians tonight. Once again, that is the 15th of June. And then a huge weekend series here in San Diego against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are coming back probably, despite winning the last 2, probably, a little frustrated that, they did lose 2 to Oakland. But we'll see how they fare against the Padres. And then next week, Monday through Thursday, the Padres will have a 4-game set in the up in the Bay Area as they face the San Francisco Giants. And then next weekend, they'll welcome the Washington Nationals. So once again, obviously the Padres, I don't want to say need to win tonight, but goodness gracious, if they can sweep Cleveland, and I know Cleveland isn't a team that's, on everybody's top 10 or this or that, but if you can sweep Cleveland, I think that gives you a lot of confidence going forward. Tampa, I would love to take 2 out of 3. And then I think you got to take 3 out of 4 against San Francisco. There's not a whole lot of room for disaster at this point for the Padres. They've already had their really rough stretch that they could afford to have. They're 33-34. They're 7 games back of the Diamondbacks, and they're in 4th place. Not ideal. They are 7-3 in their last 10. So that is good. In that situation. But for the Padres, they need to get going, and they need to get going quickly. In terms of the wild card, they are 2.5 games behind San Francisco for that final wild card spot. But at the end of the day, the Padres, at the end of the day, the Padres just need to beat teams going forward, need to win series. So we'll see how that goes. Big series against the Rays, hopefully complete the sweep tonight. But with that being said, it is time to dive into our 3 up, 3 down segment. Bryanna, you had the ups this week. Who you got for us?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is the A's are coming in, or not the A's, the Rays are coming into that series against you guys with a point to prove that was not a fluke, that them starting out the way they did was not a fluke, and they can beat anybody. It was an unfortunate timing with the A's for some reason, which brings me into our first up. Look, I know we already talked about him. I kind of have to. It's the A's. I don't know what's going on in Oakland right now. I don't know what's in their water, what's in their air, but they, even with the loss today, they are still 7-3 in their last 10. They swept Pittsburgh. They swept Milwaukee, which obviously doesn't say much because they are both in the Central. And that's literally what you said to me after I said what happened with Milwaukee. but they split against Tampa, which shows that they can win. They just won't. But again, you can't not put them here.
Yeah.
After like 2 weeks they've had.
This is maybe our 8th, 9th episode of the season. And we have been
bashing.
Thank you. I was looking for a word that was PG friendly, and you gave it to me. We've been bashing on this team for good reason. We're not Oakland A's haters or anything like that. We're just pointing out that this team is really bad. So we've spent pretty much all season bashing this team. We had to do this. We had to start the show with it. And Bryanna, great job. We have to talk about the A's and what they did, mainly because they're already retired from the down list. I don't think we're going to be talking about the A's on the up list going forward. So
I don't think we're going to talk about them again after this.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to the party. Hope you enjoyed yourself. But you're going to have
unless Fisher sells the team or something good happens with a player, we're probably not going to talk about him again after this.
Yeah.
So fans, this is all you're getting.
Yep. And that might have even been more than you deserve, but that's for another day. But no, good stuff for the A's going forward.
But we do agree that Fisher needs to do something, most likely sell the team, because he's done absolutely nothing for you.
100%. Yikes. Yeah, he's got to go. Maybe he'll be a down next week or when that actually goes final. But I did have the downs this week, and we had a little bit of a situation because
you didn't want
to be, I know it's going to be a team that seems like has been on this list all season. And for whatever reason, I'm not ready to retire them just yet. It's the St. Louis Cardinals. This is a team that is not only in last place in a really bad National League Central, they are in last place. Oh no. You know what? Percentage points wise, they are the worst team in the National League. Even worse, at least once again, percentage points wise, worse than the Washington Nationals and Colorado Rockies. St. Louis, what is going on? You're 15 games under 500. You're 8.5 games back. I don't want to retire them for the reason that only because of the division they're in. I don't want to retire a team from the down list and them go on a run and then win the division and I don't know, end up in the World Series and us have to be like, oh man. Oh, so I'm not ready yet, but I am saying I'm throwing the gauntlet down. This is your final warning. No more warnings. If they're on this list one more time, they're retired. I'm sticking to that. Bryanna, make sure you make me stick to that because I feel like I'm giving them too much credit. But anyways,
you've done that with the White Sox this season too. So
yeah. And that division's even worse. At least the Pirates I think it's the Pirates are at least above 500. So, but anyways, what are your thoughts on the Cardinals? The last time I promise.
You say that now. But
no, it's set in stone. It's set in stone.
Sorry, but I don't think that if they are on this down list again, you're still going to not want to retire them. You're not going to. You still want to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's not going to happen with you.
And I hate them too.
I'm sorry.
I hate the Cardinals.
No, but it's not happening.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't understand it. But no, I have faith in myself. I know you don't have, and I respect that. I've given you plenty of reason not to have. But no, this is it. I'm going to stand strong. Next time that St. Louis, even if you put them on the list,
I will believe it when I see it.
You're right. That's fair. And I completely respect that. But I'm making a promise to not only Bryanna, but to all of you listeners. This is it. This is the last bit of rope that I'm going to give the Cardinals. I'm setting it.
And I have a feeling all viewers and listeners are thinking the same thing I am. We'll believe it when we see it.
Exactly. And you know what? That's fine. That's what I get. And I hope
that goes for the White Sox as well.
Well, see, I'm ready. I've never asked the question about the White Sox because I don't think they've been on. The Cardinals have been on the downs list.
Early in the season, you were debating it. Them and the Tigers, you were debating.
Yeah, but that was too early. I mean, the Cardinals have been on the down list for the last 4 episodes, and normally we don't do that for anybody. So
So would Washington be considered too early when we did it?
No, oh no. Okay, we're talking about like teams that we expected to do something. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are certain like tiers to this. Like we don't ever take those teams seriously, and the first chance we can to kind of cut them out of there, then we get rid of them. But I mean, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Adam Wainwright, Jack Flaherty. This is it doesn't make sense.
Flaherty almost got ejected, I think, the other day. So
yeah, well,
I don't know.
that frustration, I think, is starting to boil over, and I think we're starting to see it. And I think it's going to go one of two ways, which will either make me a very smart person or, well, make me seem like I already am. But anyways, we shall see going forward. I'm sticking to it, even though no one believes me, and I respect that. Like I said, I haven't really given anybody any reason not to, or actually to believe me. So going forward, we have our second up. Bryanna, what you got for us?
We're going to stay in the same division. And again, I had hope for St. Louis too. I had them leading and winning that division, and now I don't believe it. So I am proving myself wrong at this point. But at least I would have still retired them. But we're staying in the same.
No, you know what? I think I know what this parallel is. It's the Minnesota Twins from like 3 years ago. I kept saying, this is the time. This is the series. This is the podcast. This is the time. It just dawned on me. I don't know. It just.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's why I say I'll believe it when I see it.
Yep.
It's not just St. Louis. You've done this with so many teams. We're staying in the same division. It is Cincinnati Reds. They are 8-2. They took, thank God, 2 from the Dodgers. They also took 2 from St. Louis. St. Louis ended up winning one of those games, and they swept Kansas City. But here's the thing. Their next series is really going to test them, and it's really going to be the test of how good are they? They have Houston this weekend.
Is that
I think they're in Houston.
Okay.
I think so. I'm going to double check while you give your thoughts on them.
Yeah. Cincinnati, I think, has to be feeling pretty good right now. 34-35. Uli De La Cruz is
it is in Houston.
It is in Houston. Okay.
It is in Houston.
Very interesting there. But yeah, Uli De La Cruz is one of the top prospects in all of baseball, and he's a freak athlete. Very excited to see what happens with him. This is a young team that's starting to catch fire. 8-2 in their last 10. Winners of 5 in a row. They're only a game and a half back.
I have a lead in for your down, so let me do that before you're down. I have a lead in.
Yeah. Someone's got to lead this down in. But anyways, it's really interesting to see Cincinnati because of how bad they were last year, or at least how bad they started last year. They're obviously moving in the right direction. I don't know, if we're going to see this team in the playoffs. And if we do see this team in the playoffs, who knows? Maybe they do look at that Dodger series and go, we took 2 out of 3 with those guys. So that gives them confidence going forward. But really good stuff. 69 games into the season, they're a game and a half out and only 1 game under 500. And they're in the perfect division for them. Let's be honest. I mean, if they were in any other division, they would be, 6 games, 7, 8 games back outside of the Centrals. But, it's the best part of geography. But Bryanna, feel free to lead it in.
So up until this point, this division has been a 2-horse race because of the fact that they suck. But keep in mind, Cincinnati is only half a game back of this down, and nobody thought it was going to be coming. But again, the Pirates are doing pretty well right now. So now you can have it.
Yeah, and the team, of course, you are referring to is the Milwaukee Brewers. In the 3-7 in their last 10, but they have lost 6 in a row. They are now a full game back of Pittsburgh. It looked like Milwaukee was going to kind of start to run away with it before this losing streak. Pittsburgh was kind of starting to sputter. Obviously, the Cubs and the Reds were there as well. But since this losing streak, Milwaukee really, really in trouble. But if they can kind of right the ship, if they can get everything kind of figured out, they're still probably a heavy favorite to win this division. But this is interesting when you got a surging team like Cincinnati trying to run down a team that is falling very fast right now in Milwaukee. That's Central. Both Centrals are just, they're a
trash.
Trash. They're a cluster.
They're a dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire, bunch of them. It's like one dumpster fire.
We've got a lot of words. We've got a lot of words, but we need to keep it. We have a lot of words, but we need to keep it PG. So
yeah, you're right.
That's why I say dumpster fire. I have another one, but I can't say it.
But yeah, it's gonna be tough in Milwaukee. Bryanna, what are your thoughts? The Brew Crew starting to fall.
Look, they started off hot, and like most teams that start off hot, they're going to go downhill one way or another. Let's talk about the Pirates for a minute. They were doing really well and then had their downfall a month ago, and they had been fighting their way back to the top of this division. And Milwaukee, I think, will do the same thing, but at the same time, they need to keep Cincinnati behind them in order to do it.
Yeah, I agree. This is not a division that's going to get multiple teams into the playoffs. The only wild cards are coming from the West and the East, unless two teams just get out of control hot, and I don't see that happening. So yeah, this is now a 3-team race. And I'm sure there's some Cubs fans that will say it's a 4-team race. I'm not ready to say that, but
I will not, and I am a Cubs fan. I will not.
I know. Yeah,
I've accepted it.
I think majority of Cubs fans will say no.
Once they got rid of like the core from that 2016 team and have been in their rebuild for 7 years now, I have known that they will not be good until they find a core like that again.
Yeah. And I definitely do know some Cubs fans that I guarantee you would say that this they're very much in the fight. And you know what? You keep thinking that. And I have some beachfront property in Oklahoma that I'd love to sell you.
You believe that because in the NFL, I already have no hope.
Oh well.
I love the Bears. And I loved how they started off the last season, but they only won 3 games.
Yeah.
And until they can get some weapons, they can't do anything. I have already given up hope. And I know people who have also given up hope on the Raiders this year because of also who their quarterback is this year.
Yeah. It's going to be very, very interesting, that NL Central. Which dumpster fire gets put out first, essentially. I think that's who wins the division. But Bryanna, who do you have for our third up?
So obviously both up and down are going to be coming from the East. Granted, yours is the American League, mine's the National League. So it's a team that you also like. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you love them, but you do like them. And this team jumped the struggling Mets. And I don't know how many people are very happy about the fact that the Mets are now in 4th. I believe it's 4th. Yeah.
I'm definitely happy. 100%.
Okay. It is the Philadelphia Phillies. Look, they took the series from Arizona today and they took 3 of 4. Frustrations have been high. Obviously, I mentioned the whole thing with Arizona's manager, Torey Lovullo, getting ejected because of the fact that Phillies pitchers hit Corbin Carroll 2 times in 2 at-bats in 3 innings. Here's the fun one from today, which I mentioned earlier. You have no idea how this happens. Craig Kimbrell, 3 pitch clock violations in the bottom of the 9th inning. But hey, they took 2 from the Dodgers this week.
That's so odd to me. I'm the only thing I can think of is he didn't have any of the step off, like the disengagements. When you step off, you have 2 of them, and he wasn't ready to throw. And it was probably, I would assume, I don't know. It's very odd to me. I've seen pitch clock violations, but I don't think I've seen even 2 from the same pitcher that honestly starts going 7 innings.
This little piece probably should be an honorable mention in the down list because how the hell does this happen? But at the same time, it has to do with the Phillies who are doing well, so I can't do anything about it. Still, how?
Yeah, like I said, I have to imagine he wasn't ready to pitch. Maybe the first one, you forgot about the clock, but not the second and third. I mean, I don't know. It didn't cost him. Sorry?
We're like 3 months into the season, though. They've had the pitch clock for 3 months. About.
Maybe. I mean, it was in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe him not knowing where it is. I don't know. I'm making excuses for him only because it's
This
hard.
was
Like I
the
said,
fourth
it's
game
hard
of the
for me to
series. He would
fathom
have
how
known
this
by now.
happened. What's that?
This was the fourth game of the series. He would have figured it out by now.
Well, I don't know if he's pitched. He's not, like I said, I'm trying to make excuses only because I don't understand how
like
this
you
goes.
making excuses for St. Louis?
Anyway, I can't even get a thought out anymore. So my final down
I'm
of the
never gonna
week
let
is
you live that
going
down.
to be the Boston Red Sox. Not only is this team 4-6 in their last 10, but this is a team that is 14 and a half games back of the Tampa Bay Rays. This is a team that, a few weeks ago we were thinking maybe this is a bit of a surprise. Maybe they can run with Baltimore and Tampa Bay. That is not the case, unfortunately, for Boston and their fans. Still, they're still a game under 500 and 3.5 games back out of fourth place. It looks like they're starting to kind of fall off of the path in the in the AL East. Bryanna, what are your thoughts on the Boston Red Sox?
First, it's just you're never gonna live that down with me. Second, look, they've got the Yankees this weekend. Thankfully, they're at home, but they have the Yankees this weekend, which is not going to help their case if they can't take the series. So Boston is struggling while Toronto is moving their way up somehow. Like they almost had a no-hitter the other day. So Boston just needs to figure out what they're doing, because the East is the hardest division in the American League. So they just need to find a way to keep up. Otherwise, they will be retired at some point.
Very soon. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult. For Boston. The division's done. There's no chance they win the division. Even a playoff spot, as I look right now, it looks like they're 5 games out of a playoff spot. So I'm not ready to say they don't have any chance of a wild card, but the division won't be a factor. But they're going to have to get through some teams. Being last place in the division is not ideal, because you have to get through 4 teams, or at least 3 teams, just to get into second place. But one final thing, I wasn't 100% sure. I'm almost positive we have.
I thought we did.
Retired the Royals. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm going to take this opportunity to point out that the Kansas City Royals are the worst team in all of Major League Baseball. They are 18-50. And we've been focusing and bashing on the A's and the situation that's been going on there. And meanwhile, the Kansas City Royals, they're 1-9 in their last 10. They've lost 9 in a row. They are 18-50. They are worse record-wise than the Oakland A's. This is a joke. I had to bring them up. I can't believe that the Kansas City Royals, more people aren't talking about how terrible this team is. 265 is their win percentage. Disgusting. But yeah, just wanted to make sure we put a final nail in the Royals down coffin there. Bryanna, you have anything to add there?
Like I said, I thought we had already retired them, around the time we retired the Nationals. I thought we did. I could have sworn we did. Maybe we didn't. Only you guys can tell us, because I don't want to go through all of those notes again from the last couple months. I really just don't want to. But the question's going to be, are they going to stay below the A's, or are the A's going to come right back down?
Yeah. It's going to be very, very interesting, obviously. Kansas City, they had their championship, 10 years ago, and now they'll probably go back to being a very bad team for the next 30 years, like they did 30 years before they won that championship. But George Brett ain't walking through that door, if you will. But with that being said, that is all we have for you, but it is time for some final thoughts. Bryanna, what you got for us?
Well, first, I'm very glad that my Zoom didn't cut out on me.
Yeah, pretty good today.
It did freeze once. I saw that, but it didn't cut out. I'm very happy. But I know that there's probably going to be a couple teams in the coming weeks that we will be retiring, that should be retired, whether they have just done horribly all season, or they are just on such a bad losing streak that they will not win their division. I am thinking the Cubs might do that at some point, because yes, the Central sucks. but I think St. Louis might go on a run to the point where they'll finish fourth. I don't think St. Louis is going to win this division, even if they suck. The Pirates in Milwaukee are too far ahead, and I think they're going to stay ahead. It's just a matter of who's going to win that division.
Yeah, that's
Who do you think's going to win that division now?
It's
Both
like
of us said St. Louis at the start.
Yeah, and we weren't alone. There were a lot of people. That was the heavy odds on pick there. For me, my final thoughts, we just saw the NBA and NHL finish up their season. The whole spotlight. Sorry?
Or Florida.
Yeah, sorry. Whole state of Florida taking the L there. But going forward, obviously this is the dog days of summer about to hit us. Baseball's the only show in town, essentially, of the four major sports. So enjoy it. It's the only thing that's going to be out there. You're not going to be distracted like me. I've been distracted kind of by hockey, and I did watch a little basketball, but mainly, it's time to just focus fully on baseball. Is now, we are going to start to get into, the All-Star break in a month. And then, of course, it'll be August before we know it. And then we'll be talking about September baseball. So just enjoy this summer of baseball kind of all to itself. At the moment, we don't have any other sports to kind of distract us. So with that being said, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Changeup presented by the First Off the Bench podcast network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. It's time for y'all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. We'll talk to y'all very soon. Take care.